Imagine telling your friends you moved to a mountain town, and they ask, "Which one?" And their jaw drops because they've never heard of it. That's your early mover advantage. The problem: everyone wants to escape to the mountains. But by the time you hear about a place, the housing prices, traffic, and crowds have already arrived. We're living in the era of early mover advantage. If you pick the right mountain town before people do, you get wilderness views and sanity. So in this video, we're going to show you mountain towns in the US that are still under the radar, but won't be for long. Towns where nature is your neighbor, life is slower, and prices are still affordable, or at least not Aspen level insane. We'll dig into why they're great, what to watch out for, and how to move now before the wave hits. Let's dive before everyone else realizes the secret. First up is where the lake's stunning, the skiing's solid. But don't tell everyone. Number 1. Sandpoint. Sandpoint sits in northern Idaho, cuddled up next to Lake Pendorile, and if you just had to Google how to pronounce that, you're not alone. It's Pond or Ray, by the way. You're welcome. The French were involved somehow. This town is like a mash-up between Lake Tahoe and a small-town community where the barista knows your order, your dog's name, and probably your childhood trauma. It's got serious natural beauty, snow-capped mountains, forest trails, and a lake big enough to feel like you're at sea. But unlike those expensive lake towns out west, Sandpoint still has a small-town feel and doesn't charge you $20 for avocado toast. Here, you can get actual food for actual money. Revolutionary, I know. The lifestyle details. Locals ride bikes everywhere, because parking is for quitters, ski in the winter at Schweitzer Mountain Resort, and spend summers paddleboarding or sipping craft beers by the water while pretending they have things to do. The downtown has that classic Main Street energy with locally owned shops, farm-to-table restaurants, and zero pretension. You can walk to most places, which is a luxury most Americans have forgotten exists. Right up there with affordable healthcare and quiet neighbors. What makes it special? Sandpoint is big enough to have good coffee shops, live music venues, and a surprisingly solid food scene, but small enough that you'll actually run into people you know at the grocery store. Which sounds charming until you're trying to buy wine in sweatpants at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday. It's the Goldilocks of mountain towns, not too big, not too small, just right for people who want community but also the occasional ability to hide. The community here is a mix of longtime locals who've been here for generations, and will remind you of this: young families escaping the city grind, and remote workers who realized they could trade their commute for mountain views and never looked back. There's also a thriving arts scene, with galleries, theater productions, and the annual festival at Sandpoint that brings in national acts. Basically, it's cultured enough to impress your parents but chill enough that nobody's wearing a suit jacket. The real estate reality. Housing prices have started climbing as word gets out, but they're still nowhere near the insanity of other mountain destinations. You can still find decent homes without needing a trust fund or selling vital organs, though that window is closing faster than your laptop when your boss walks by. Rentals exist, but they go quickly, especially anything with lake views or that doesn't require a hazmat suit to move into. Winter considerations. Winters are real here. Snow happens. A lot of it. We're talking. You'll need to learn what a snow shovel is, levels of snow. If you're coming from somewhere that considers 40 degrees, cold, and thinks, winter storm, means an inch of slush, you're in for a rude awakening. But locals will tell you that's part of the charm. Real seasons mean real appreciation for each one. Plus, complaining about snow is basically a community bonding activity. And with more people working remotely, Sandpoint's seen a gentle rise in newcomers looking for something peaceful, but not boring. The key word here is gentle. It hasn't been overrun yet, but the smart money is moving in. Think of it as getting into Bitcoin in 2012, but with better scenery and fewer libertarians. If you want outdoor adventure without a tourist trap price tag, Sandpoint's calling. Just don't post too many Instagram photos, or you'll ruin it for everyone. We're looking at you, influencers. The next location is like Tahoe's cooler cousin who skipped the influencer lifestyle. Number 2, Truckee, California. Just northwest of Lake Tahoe, Truckee feels like that friend who quietly owns a cabin and never brags about it, but it's incredible. You know the type. They show up to parties in a beat-up Subaru covered in stickers, casually mention they're heading to the mountains for the weekend, and you later find out their cabin has heated floors and a view that would make Ansel Adams weep. Yes, technically it's California. But unlike the rest of the state, Truckee isn't choked with traffic or charging you $7 for parking every time you sneeze. There's no valet parking for grocery stores, nobody's measuring your carbon footprint at brunch, and you can actually afford to exist without a venture capital fund backing your lifestyle. Instead, you get that rugged Sierra Nevada energy, a walkable historic downtown, and outdoor activities that change with the season, skiing in winter, mountain biking in summer, and complaining about tourists year-round. Complaining about tourists is actually the main year-round sport. Locals are Olympic level at it. The authentic factor. What makes Truckee different from most mountain resort towns is that it was a real place before it became a destination. This was an actual railroad town with genuine history, not some manufactured resort community built by developers who watched too many Hallmark movies. That authenticity shows in the Victorian buildings downtown, the local dive bars that still exist alongside the fancy wine bars, and the locals who've managed to hold onto their town's character despite the pressure. You can tell who the real locals are. They're the ones wearing Carhartts while everyone else is in Patagonia. Living here realistically. Sure, it's not the cheapest on this list. Truckee has gotten discovered enough that housing isn't exactly a bargain anymore. But if you get in now, you'll beat the second home crowd and still find neighborhoods where you can hear crickets at night, not Teslas. Well, okay, you'll hear some Teslas. Lots of Teslas, actually. But also crickets. Sometimes at the same time, which is surprisingly peaceful. The job market here is actually decent if you're in hospitality, construction, or can work remotely. The proximity to multiple ski resorts means there's always seasonal work, though the pay-to-rent ratio can be challenging. Translation. You'll probably need roommates, 3 side hustles, and a carefully curated collection of ramen recipes. Most people either work remotely, commute to Reno, which is its own special kind of masochism, or piece together multiple gigs to make mountain living work. It's like Tetris, but with jobs and bills. The weather warning. Winter in Truckee is no joke. We're talking snow measured in feet, not inches. The town regularly gets buried under massive dumps of powder, which is great if you ski but less great if you're trying to get to work at 6 a.m. while your car is currently an igloo. You'll need a serious winter vehicle. Sorry, your Honda Civic isn't going to cut it. The ability to install tire chains in the dark while it's snowing sideways and questioning all your life choices, and a philosophical acceptance that sometimes nature wins and you just stay home. Work from home days aren't a perk here, they're a survival strategy. But here's the thing, locals love it. The snow keeps the casual tourists away, the ones who show up in sneakers and ask where the Uber pickup is, and creates a tight community of people who've chosen this lifestyle on purpose. It's a built-in filter for people who are actually committed versus people who just thought mountain living looked cool on Pinterest. Truckee isn't trying to be flashy. It's just trying to stay awesome. And so far, it's winning. Just don't move here and then complain about the snow. We will judge you harshly. Up next is the highest incorporated city in the US in elevation, not, you know, that other way. Number 3, Leadville, Colorado is a gritty little gem tucked up at 10,152 feet above sea level, so yeah, you'll literally need time to adjust your breathing. Walking upstairs will feel like cardio for the first few weeks. Opening a bag of chips becomes an explosive event. And don't be surprised if you get winded just unpacking boxes or trying to have a conversation while standing. The altitude is real, folks. Your body will remind you daily that humans weren't designed to live this high up. But once you do acclimate? Welcome to the Colorado Rockies, minus the sticker shock. And the trust fund kids. And the $18 craft cocktails. The authentic Colorado experience. Leadville isn't Aspen. It's not Vail. It's not Boulder. It's not trying to be anything but itself, a historic mining town with saloons that smell like authentic history, and possibly ghosts, serious mountain trails that will humble even experienced hikers, and neighbors who actually wave when they pass you on the street instead of pretending you don't exist. This place has real history. We're talking about a town that boomed during the Colorado Silver Rush, where outlaws and miners once walked the same streets you'll be walking. That history isn't just preserved in museums, it's built into the bones of the town. Many of the buildings downtown date back to the 1880s, complete with creaky floors and questionable plumbing. You can still grab a beer in saloons that have been serving drinks for over a century, which means the bar has literally seen more action than most dating apps. The community vibe. The people who live in Leadville are here because they want to be, not because it's trendy or because their Instagram advisor suggested it. You'll meet hardcore mountain athletes training at altitude, who will make you feel deeply inadequate about your fitness level, artists who need cheap rent and big inspiration, and families who've been here for generations and have the old mining stories to prove it. There's a realness to the place that's hard to find in more polished mountain towns. Nobody here is pretending to be someone they're not, mostly because at 10,000 feet, you're too out of breath to maintain a fake persona. The lifestyle trade-offs. It's got a little bit of Wild West charm, a lot of snow, and rent prices that won't make you weep into your paycheck. But let's be honest about the challenges. This is remote, like, really remote. The nearest major city, Denver, is over 2 hours away, and that's on a good day when I-70 isn't a parking lot. The growing season is basically 3 weeks in July if you're lucky, so don't plan on that vegetable garden you saw on Pinterest. And that altitude isn't just a fun fact to drop at parties, it affects everything from how fast your food cooks and to how quickly you get drunk. But for people who want the Colorado lifestyle without needing a hedge fund to support it, Leadville might be your ticket. You can actually afford to buy a house here, which is becoming nearly impossible in most Colorado mountain towns. We're talking about a state where people in Vail pay $2,500 per month to share a basement with 4 strangers. In Leadville, you can actually own property like a normal human. Adventure Central. Leadville is also an outdoor enthusiast's paradise, assuming your idea of paradise involves suffering at high altitude. The Leadville Trail 100, one of the most famous and masochistic ultramarathons in the world, happens here every year. Mount Elbert, Colorado's highest peak, is basically in your backyard, waiting to make you question your life choices around mile 2. And the mountain biking, skiing, and trail running are world-class, if by world-class you mean incredibly difficult but with amazing views to distract you from the pain. Just bring a jacket. And maybe an oxygen tank. Or at least give yourself a few weeks to adjust before attempting any athletic endeavors. Nothing says, "I'm new here," quite like someone hyperventilating after climbing a single flight of stairs. Wait before we continue. If you're into traveling, we created this free layover city guide that might save you if ever you get stuck in a layover on an unknown city. Know where to go, quick eats, sites, and how to get there without missing your next flight. No fluff. No downloads. Just free, fast info. Link in the description if you're interested. Let's continue. Next mountain town has bluegrass, blue skies, and a whole lot of blue mountains. Number 4, Floyd, Virginia. Floyd is one of those places that moves at a slightly different speed, somewhere between, let's hike, and, let's nap after we hike, with a brief stop at, let's play some fiddle music first. Located off the Blue Ridge Parkway, which is basically nature's version of a screensaver come to life. This tiny mountain town punches way above its weight when it comes to culture. There's music on the streets, art in the shops, and more kombucha than you'd expect in rural Virginia. Like, a suspicious amount of kombucha. We're talking, did hippies discover time travel and set up shop here, levels of kombucha? The cultural surprise. You'll find farmers markets where everyone knows everyone else's business, in the best way possible, fiddles being played on street corners at random times of day, and fiber artists who can explain the difference between alpaca and llama wool while simultaneously guilt-tripping you into buying a scarf you absolutely don't need but now desperately want. Floyd hosts a legendary Friday night jamboree where locals and visitors gather for live bluegrass music and spontaneous dance sessions that would make your high school prom look like a funeral. It's become such a draw that people drive from hours away just to experience it, which is how you know it's good. Nobody drives hours in rural Virginia unless it's genuinely worth it. The town has also become a magnet for artists, musicians, and craftspeople who want affordable living with access to natural beauty. There are pottery studios where people make bowls that cost more than your car payment, but they're very spiritual bowls. Weaving cooperatives that will teach you skills you never knew existed, organic farms run by people who left corporate jobs and never looked back, and artisan bakeries where bread costs $8 but tastes like it was blessed by forest fairies. It's like someone took Brooklyn's creative energy and transplanted it into the Appalachian Mountains. But without the attitude, the outrageous prices, or anyone asking what you do within the first 30 seconds of conversation. The affordability factor. Housing here is still genuinely affordable, which is increasingly rare in mountain towns. You can rent a place without signing over your firstborn child, and buying property is actually within reach for normal humans with normal incomes. Remember when that used to be normal everywhere? This makes Floyd particularly attractive to young families, retirees who are tired of everything costing money, and remote workers who want to stretch their dollars while living somewhere beautiful instead of sending their entire paycheck to a landlord in a city they hate. The pace of life. It's affordable, it's artsy, and it's one of those places where people go just to check it out for a weekend and end up staying for years because they forgot what stress felt like. The pace here forces you to slow down whether you want to or not. There's no rush hour because there's barely any traffic. Restaurants close early because that's just how things work and nobody's stressed about it. And honestly, after a few weeks, you stop missing the chaos of city life. Turns out, you don't actually need 47 entertainment options every night to be happy. Floyd is small, like, really small. The entire town is basically a few blocks that you can walk in about 10 minutes if you're moving with purpose. If you need Target runs every weekend, Starbucks on every corner, and the ability to order Thai food at 2 a.m., this isn't your place. But if you want community potlucks where everyone brings their weirdest dish, hiking trails literally out your back door, and neighbors who actually know your name, and your dog's name, and your grandmother's name, and that time you had a bad haircut in 2019. Floyd delivers spectacularly. Floyd isn't trendy. It's timeless. And that's exactly why it's blowing up, slowly. Very slowly. At Floyd's speed, which is perfect. Up next, have you heard of Glacier National Park? This is where people live when they never want to leave. Number 5. Whitefish, Montana. Whitefish is straight up stunning. It's the kind of place where the mountains don't just look good, they feel like part of your daily life. You wake up to them, you see them from your office window, if you have one, or more likely, from your kitchen table where you work in pajama pants, and they're the last thing you see before bed. Living here is like being inside a screensaver, except you can't skip it and you wouldn't want to anyway. The evolution. What was once a sleepy ski town has grown into a buzzy little community with good coffee, multiple shops where baristas take their craft way too seriously, solid breweries, where locals debate hops like wine snobs debate vintages, and a vibe that balances nature with just the right touch of luxury. Whitefish has managed the tricky feat of growing without losing its soul. The locals will debate whether that's still true, usually over beers after a day on the mountain. The lifestyle balance. And yeah, it's getting discovered fast. Like celebrities buying second homes here fast. Real estate prices have climbed significantly over the past decade, and more people are moving here every year after visiting once and having an existential crisis about why they don't live here. But compared to coastal cities or mountain meccas like Jackson Hole, where a studio apartment costs approximately one kidney and your dignity, Whitefish is still relatively reasonable. You can hike a glacier in the morning, hit a wine bar at night, and still get home without selling a kidney to afford your rent. Maybe just a small organ, a spleen, tops. The town has a surprisingly sophisticated food and drink scene for its size. We're talking craft cocktails that would hold up in any major city, farm-to-table restaurants where the chef probably knows the cow personally, and coffee shops that would make Portland baristas nod with approval. But you're never more than 10 minutes from wilderness, which is the ultimate flex. The practical reality. Jobs here revolve around tourism, hospitality, outdoor recreation, and increasingly, remote work, or what we call pretending to work while occasionally glancing at mountains. Whitefish Mountain Resort, formerly Big Mountain, but they rebranded because marketing employs a lot of people seasonally, and there's always work in restaurants and hotels. But wages haven't kept pace with housing costs, which is creating the classic mountain town squeeze where workers can't afford to live where they work. It's like a cruel joke, but with better views. The glacier factor. Being the gateway to Glacier National Park is both a blessing and a curse. It means incredible access to one of America's most spectacular national parks, but it also means summer tourist traffic that can clog the town worse than your uncle's arteries after Thanksgiving. Locals have a love-hate relationship with tourist season. They need the economic boost but also miss having their town to themselves. You can spot locals during summer by their 1,000-yard stare as they navigate around rental cars driving 15 miles per hour while trying to take photos. If you want that balance between rugged and refined, this is your spot. Just don't wait too long. Whitefish is on everyone's radar now, including people with way more money than you. Alright, we've covered 5 incredible mountain towns, but we're just getting started. The next 5 towns are hidden gems that cost less than your city rent, and a Bavarian paradise in Washington that'll make you question reality. Don't forget to hype and like this video, so that the mighty YouTube algorithm smiles upon us and shows this video to more people. Hit also the subscribe button for more of these under the radar mountain havens. Trust me, the best ones are still coming. Let's get back to it. Number 6, Elkins, West Virginia. A college town, a mountain town, and a nobody knows about it town, all in one. Elkins is the kind of place that people only find if they're really looking, or if they took a very wrong turn and ended up somewhere magical by accident. And honestly, that's its secret weapon. It's like Fight Club, except instead of fighting, everyone's hiking and playing banjo music. Located in the Allegheny Mountains, which sounds made up but isn't, it has all the ingredients of a great mountain escape. Cool summers that don't require selling your soul to air conditioning, colorful falls that look like Bob Ross paintings come to life, and enough hiking to make you forget your phone exists. Actually, your phone might not work anyway, so that helps. The college town advantage. It's also home to Davis and Elkins College, which brings a little artsy flair and enough student life to keep things interesting without being overwhelming. The college means there's live theater, art shows, visiting speakers, and cultural events that you wouldn't normally find in a town of 7,000 people. It also means decent coffee shops, crucial, at least a few places open past 9 p.m., rare but appreciated, and young people who haven't yet realized that 9 p.m. is actually very late. The college brings energy and youth to the town without overwhelming it. Unlike bigger college towns where students dominate everything and the locals are basically extras in someone else's party movie, Elkins has found a nice balance where the college enhances the town rather than defines it. Students and locals actually coexist peacefully, which is rarer than you'd think. Hidden gem status. The downtown is walkable, as in, actually walkable, not technically walkable if you don't mind risking your life crossing a 6-lane highway. The real estate is still affordable. You can buy a house for less than a luxury car. And there's a growing remote worker community who figured out they could trade traffic for trails and never looked back. These are the smart people. Learn from them. Housing prices here are some of the lowest you'll find in any mountain town. You can actually buy a house on a modest income, which is increasingly rare in America. Like, endangered species, rare. Your friends in expensive cities will think you're lying about your mortgage payment. Outdoor paradise. The surrounding area offers incredible outdoor recreation that would cost you an arm and a leg to access in more popular mountain towns. The Monongahela National Forest is right there, with hundreds of miles of trails and the kind of wilderness where you can actually get lost. Bring a map, seriously. The Cheat River provides excellent whitewater rafting and kayaking for people who think floating down a lazy river is boring. And the mountain biking scene is growing, with locals building new trails every year because apparently some people enjoy riding bikes uphill on purpose. The cultural scene. Elkins also hosts the Augusta Heritage Center, which offers workshops in traditional Appalachian music, dance, and crafts. Every summer, people from around the world come to learn fiddle, banjo, flatfooting, it's a dance thing, not a medical condition, and other traditional arts. It's created a unique cultural ecosystem in this small mountain town where you can learn to make moonshine legally and play instruments you've never heard of. What you're trading? Let's be real, Elkins is remote. The nearest city of any size is at least an hour away, and that's if you define city very generously. Job opportunities outside of the college, healthcare, and service industries are limited. And if you need constant stimulation and endless entertainment options, you'll feel claustrophobic pretty quickly. Like, screaming into the void, quickly. But for people who value nature, affordability, and community over convenience and career options, Elkins hits the sweet spot. Plus, the lack of options means you'll finally finish all those hobbies you started and abandoned in the city. Elkins doesn't need to shout. It just lets the mountains do the talking, and the mountains are very persuasive. Next mountain town looks like a fairy tale, and costs less than your average city rent. Number 7, Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Nestled in the Ozark Mountains like it was pulled out of a fantasy novel by an author who was really into Victorian architecture and possibly magic mushrooms, Eureka Springs is one of those towns where every street has a story, and every house looks like it's been sketched by an architect with a romantic streak and no concept of straight lines. The visual experience: cobblestone roads? Check. Victorian architecture? Double check. Spiraling hillsides covered in greenery that explode with color in the fall? Absolutely. The entire downtown is built into the side of a mountain, creating this vertical maze of streets, staircases, and hidden courtyards that feels more like a European village than small-town Arkansas. GPS basically gives up here. Google Maps just shows a shrugging emoji. There are no right angles here. No straight streets. Everything curves and winds and surprises you around every corner. It's the kind of place where getting lost is part of the fun, mainly because everyone is lost all the time and nobody admits it. Asking for directions is useless because the locals will tell you things like, "Turn left at the purple dragon statue," and you'll think they're joking until you actually see a purple dragon statue. The affordability angle. But the best part? You don't need a 6-figure income to live here. The median home price is significantly lower than most resort towns, yet you still get art galleries run by people who left corporate jobs to pursue their passion for painting cats. Coffee shops that serve drinks with names you can't pronounce, quirky boutiques selling things you didn't know you needed until right now, and a tight-knit creative community that's actually welcoming instead of gatekeep-y. You also get access to lakes where you can actually afford a boat, hiking trails that don't require permits or reservations, and some truly weird ghost tours if you're into that kind of thing. Spoiler: the Victorian houses are definitely haunted, embrace it. Housing affordability means artists, retirees, entrepreneurs, and young families can all actually afford to live here, which creates an economic and age diversity that many resort towns have lost. It's not just rich second homeowners and the people who serve them coffee, it's actual community. The economic reality. And because tourism keeps the town buzzing, job opportunities exist in hospitality, arts, and local entrepreneurship. Plus, it's a haven for remote workers who want that mountain vibe, without total isolation from civilization. The town has decent internet, always check before you move. Trust me on this. Several co-working spaces for people who need to escape their tiny Victorian apartments, and a growing community of digital nomads and location-independent workers who discovered you can answer emails from anywhere, so why not somewhere beautiful? The quirky factor: Eureka Springs is wonderfully weird. There's a large LGBTQ+ community that's made this town a safe haven in a region that's not always known for acceptance. There are numerous spiritual and metaphysical shops where you can buy crystals that will allegedly change your life. Results may vary. Street performers appear randomly to play music or juggle or do interpretive dance, and there's an anything-goes attitude that feels refreshingly open-minded for a small southern town. It's also a wedding destination, with chapels on every corner and ceremonies happening constantly. You'll randomly witness strangers' weddings while walking around, which is either charming or awkward depending on how you feel about public displays of commitment. What makes it work? The community here has figured out how to balance tourism with livability, which is harder than it sounds. Yes, summer weekends get crowded with tourists who drive slowly and stop in the middle of streets to take photos. But locals know how to navigate around the tourist patterns like it's a video game they've mastered. And once you're plugged into the local scene, you discover the hidden spots tourists never find, the secret swimming holes where locals go, the locals-only restaurants that aren't listed on TripAdvisor, the trails without signage that require insider knowledge. Eureka Springs is like living inside a Hallmark movie, if Hallmark had better food, more tattoos, and occasionally featured ghost stories and tarot card readings. Wait, we forgot to ask. Are you surprised and enjoying the video? Let us know in the comments. Up next. Number 8. Boone, North Carolina. If Asheville had a chill younger sibling with lower rent, Boone is where you go when you want mountains and microbreweries, without battling tourists for parking or paying $3,000 per month in rent for a converted closet that your landlord is calling a cozy studio apartment. Tucked into the Blue Ridge Mountains like nature's perfect pocket, Boone offers stunning scenery that doesn't get old. Seriously, you'll still be impressed by the views after 5 years. A progressive vibe unusual for small-town North Carolina, and yes, it's still relatively affordable, but not for long, so stop reading and start packing. The University Effect. Why the urgency? Boone is home to Appalachian State University, which means a steady influx of students bringing energy, culture, and the kind of chaos that keeps a town from getting boring. And wherever there's a university, there's usually decent Wi-Fi, crucial for remote work, good coffee served by baristas who take it way too seriously, live music ranging from bluegrass to indie rock, and decent tacos, because college students demand tacos or they riot. The university creates a built-in market for all the things that make life enjoyable: coffee shops where you can work for hours without judgment, breweries where you can decompress after said work, music venues hosting shows every week, and restaurants that understand not everyone wants meat and 3 vegetables for every meal. It also means the town has better infrastructure and services than you'd typically find in a mountain town this size. There's a surprising amount of cultural programming, theater productions, concerts, lectures, film screenings, that keeps life interesting beyond just outdoor recreation. The outdoor playground: hiking, biking, snowboarding, and kayaking. You're covered like a Patagonia catalog. The Blue Ridge Parkway runs right through the area, providing endless scenic drives and trail access for people who like their nature easily accessible. Grandfather Mountain is nearby, offering some of the most dramatic hiking in the southeast and views that'll make your Instagram followers deeply jealous. And when winter hits, several ski resorts are within easy reach, because apparently skiing the south is a thing and it's actually pretty good. The town vibe. Want to escape city life but still have Whole Foods level convenience? Boone's got it. The downtown area is walkable and vibrant, with locally owned shops run by people who actually care, mixed with just enough chains to make life convenient. Yes, there's a Target, calm down. There are farmers markets where you can buy vegetables directly from people who grew them. Food co-ops for people who have strong opinions about organic labeling, yoga studios on every corner, and all the amenities that make daily life comfortable without requiring a car for everything. The boomerang effect. You'll meet a lot of people here who came just for a season and stayed forever, like reverse Groundhog Day but with better weather. Some came for college and never left because they realized the real world is overrated. Others came for a ski season and are still here a decade later, still wearing the same ski jacket and telling stories about that one epic powder day. There's something about Boone that makes people put down roots without really meaning to. It's like the town has a gravitational pull that affects human migration patterns. The warning signs. And with the growing popularity of remote work, Boone is one fiber optic upgrade away from becoming a full-on millennial migration zone. Housing prices have already started climbing as more people discover it, fueled by articles like this one, Sorry, Not Sorry. Rental inventory gets snatched up quickly, especially anything decent and affordable that doesn't require you to share a bathroom with 3 strangers who have interesting hygiene habits. The secret is getting out. People who lived in expensive cities during the pandemic discovered they could work from anywhere, looked at Boone's combination of mountains, culture, and relative affordability, and started moving here in droves like it was some kind of coordinated invasion. So if you're thinking about moving here, do it before the word gets out further and Zillow eats your dreams like it's eaten everyone else's. Up next. You won't believe there's snow in this next location. Number 9. Cloudcroft, New Mexico. Cloudcroft is one of those places that feels like a glitch in the Matrix, a snowy mountain village in southern New Mexico. Most people's mental map of New Mexico involves desert, cacti, Breaking Bad references, and a vague sense that it might not be part of the United States. It is, we promise. Cloudcroft flips all of that upside down and then sprinkles snow on it just to prove a point. The elevation surprise. At over 8,600 feet in elevation, this hidden gem has crisp alpine air that makes you feel like you're breathing in a Mountain Fresh commercial, real winter with actual snow that doesn't melt in 2 hours, and some of the most affordable mountain real estate in the Southwest, because nobody knows it exists. While most people associate New Mexico with desert and turquoise jewelry, Cloudcroft flips the script. With pine forests that smell incredible, ski slopes that function despite being in New Mexico, and charming cabins that look like they belong in Colorado but cost about half as much. The temperature difference between Cloudcroft and the desert below is dramatic and vaguely science fiction. While Alamogordo, 30 miles away, might be baking at 100 degrees and locals are questioning their life choices, Cloudcroft is a pleasant 70 degrees and everyone's wearing sweaters in July. This makes it a summer escape for desert dwellers who are tired of feeling like rotisserie chickens, and a year-round option for people who want 4 actual seasons instead of hot and slightly less hot. The peaceful reality. It's quiet. Like, you can hear snowflakes landing, quiet. Like, you'll start having conversations with squirrels because you miss human interaction, quiet. And that's the point. This isn't a party town or scene or a place where influencers show up to take photos and ruin everyone's peace. It's a place where people go to unplug, reset, and remember what silence sounds like without needing a white noise machine. Perfect for introverts who've been waiting their whole lives for a socially acceptable excuse to avoid people, artists who need space to create without distractions, early retirees who are done with everyone's nonsense, or remote workers who prefer the sound of wind through trees over car horns, sirens, and neighbors who play bass-heavy music at 2 a.m. If you need constant stimulation in a bustling social scene, Cloudcroft will bore you to tears within approximately 48 hours. But if you're seeking peace, space, and the ability to think your own thoughts without interruption, this place is therapeutic. Actually therapeutic, not, I went to yoga once, therapeutic. The local scene. There's just enough local life. A brewery where locals gather to complain about tourists. Even though there are barely any tourists, shops selling mountain town essentials and things you'll convince yourself you need. Cozy diners where the waitress knows everyone's order and their entire family history, to keep things interesting without ruining the peace. The area has a small but tight-knit community of locals who look out for each other in ways that would seem nosy in a city but feel comforting here. Winters can be isolating, especially during big snowstorms when you might not see another human for days. But locals embrace that as part of the lifestyle. It's a feature, not a bug. They stock up on supplies, settle in with good books and bad movies, and wait it out like pioneers but with better internet. The financial angle. The cost of living is refreshingly low, especially when compared to other ski towns where you need to sell plasma just to afford groceries. You can buy or rent a cabin for what would barely cover a studio apartment in Denver, Albuquerque, or anywhere people have heard of. Property taxes are reasonable and won't make you cry when the bill comes. And New Mexico offers some tax advantages that make retirement here particularly attractive. They don't tax Social Security, which is huge if you're planning your golden years. The food factor. And yes, you'll still get tacos that ruin all other tacos for you forever. This is non-negotiable. New Mexico takes its food seriously, specifically its chili, not chili. Locals will correct you. And even in tiny Cloudcroft, you'll find green chili that will make you weep with joy and question why you've been eating boring food your entire life. The state's culinary culture extends to every corner, including this mountain hideaway where you least expect it. What you're signing up for. Cloudcroft isn't for everyone. It's remote in a way that makes other remote towns look like Manhattan. Winters are real and will test your commitment to mountain living when you're snowed in for the third day in a row. And career opportunities are basically non-existent unless you work remotely, own a business, or don't mind working in hospitality or retail. The nearest major city, El Paso, is about 90 minutes away, which is fine until you need something from Costco and realize you've committed to a 3-hour round trip. But for those who find it, it's hard to leave. People come for a weekend and start looking at real estate. They rent a cabin for a summer and extend their stay indefinitely. It's that kind of place. And finally at number 10, a Bavarian mountain village, but with no passport required. Number 10, Leavenworth, Washington. Leavenworth looks like someone tried to bring the Alps to America, and weirdly, it worked. This town is straight up magical, especially in winter, when it turns into a full-blown snow globe. Think gingerbread houses, bratwurst, and yodeling, nestled right in the Cascades. The backstory. Here's the fascinating part. Leavenworth wasn't always Bavarian. In the 1960s, the town was dying, the railroad had moved, the timber industry was declining, and downtown was full of empty storefronts. In a last-ditch effort to save the town, community leaders decided to rebrand as a Bavarian village. Every building downtown was either rebuilt or refaced to match the theme. It was a Hail Mary that somehow worked brilliantly. But here's the secret, it's not just a tourist trap. People live here. Real people. And it's surprisingly livable, if you move fast. While Leavenworth is more expensive than other towns on this list, it's still far more affordable than resort giants like Aspen or Vail. And with Seattle a few hours away, it's become a go-to escape for remote workers and creatives who want weekend access to city amenities while living in mountain paradise during the week. The outdoor access. You'll find hiking, kayaking, skiing, and enough outdoor adventure to make REI your personal religion. The Cascade Mountains surround the town on all sides, providing immediate access to wilderness. The Wenatchee River runs right through town, offering world-class rafting and kayaking. And in winter, Stevens Pass Ski Resort is just 35 minutes away. The festival factor. The town's commitment to its Bavarian theme is part quirky, part genius, and people love it. There are festivals year-round. Mayfest in spring, Autumn Leaf Festival in fall, and the famous Christmas Lighting Festival that draws hundreds of thousands of visitors. These festivals create a strong tourism economy that supports local businesses and provides jobs. The community reality. Despite the touristy vibe, there's a real community here. Locals have learned to embrace the theme while maintaining their own identity separate from the tourist experience. There are locals-only events, neighborhood gatherings, and a strong sense of protecting the town's livability despite its popularity. The housing challenge. Leavenworth's rising popularity means homes are going fast. The limited geography, mountains on all sides, means there's only so much space for development, which keeps housing inventory tight and prices climbing. If you're serious about living here, you need to act decisively when something comes on the market. The seasonal reality. Winter tourism is massive here, which means if you work in hospitality, you'll be slammed from November through March. But it also means the economy is robust enough to support year-round residents. Summer brings a different crowd, outdoor enthusiasts, families, and people escaping the heat of eastern Washington. So if you're dreaming of mountain life with beer gardens and Oktoberfests on tap, this might be your move. Just be prepared to explain to confused relatives why you're living in Bavaria, Washington. Don't forget to check out our layover city guide and let us know your thoughts in the comments. It's totally free to use. Link in the description. Click on these next video if you want more related topics. So, what did we learn? You don't need a trust fund, a ski pass, or a collection of Patagonia jackets to live the mountain town dream. You just need to get there before everyone else does. From artistic escapes in Arkansas to snowy hideouts in New Mexico, these towns are the sweet spot between affordable and absolutely stunning. Tell us in the comments, which one are you moving to? And don't forget, like, subscribe, and save this video for your future escape plan.